Hello, my name is Kristen Lewavenos. I am the Post-1 surgeon, Iraq veteran, 22 years in the Army. We continue the spirit of service and commitment to those visionaries possessed, and we pay tribute to those in the community that have done much to support veterans issues, and the community as a whole. Finally, we affirm our commitment to support the men and women currently in uniform, veterans from all walks of life, our patriotic organization, and the United States of America. In their names, let us continue.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 1899, our founder, Irving Hale, hosted a dinner at the Brown Palace. He and the men of the 1st Colorado Volunteer Infantry, who had served in the Philippines during the Spanish-American War, wanted to gather around the holidays to enjoy each other's company. They also wanted to commemorate the memory of their fallen comrade, Captain John S. Stewart, and others who had died with him. Our post has continued to honor these gentlemen for the following 121 consecutive years. This evening, we memorialize the founding of both Post-1 as well as the veterans of foreign wars. I would also like to point out the 1st Colorado Volunteer Infantry has since become the Colorado National Guard. In following the tradition of our founders, those of us who have served our nation in combat zones around the globe are here to celebrate the holidays with our comrades, our families, and our guests. This is a very important occasion for us, and we welcome you to our celebration. We hope that you have a wonderful evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Colonel Dave Gruber, and I will serve as your Master of Ceremonies this evening. Feel free to stand if you are able and place your hand over your heart for the presentation of the flag of our nation and singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? What a land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Post-1 member Barbara Sim, for your outstanding rendition of the national anthem. Before I recognize our guest of honor, let me explain a very important tradition. The United States has had military members captured and go missing in nearly every conflict. These veterans are very important to us. John Holland, past National Chaplain of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, will now conduct the POW MIA Remembrance Ceremony in their honor.
Well, we must acknowledge that some of our comrades, prisoner of war, missing in action, have passed from this life into the next. We do not officially recognize their deaths unless and until we have remains and can render proper honors. The vast majority of the men commemorated here had mothers who went to their graves not knowing the outcome of their sons. A table of remembrance. This small table is a table of remembrance. While it is set for one, it represents the 5 services in time of war: the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, and the Marine Corps. This table symbolizes that members of our professional armed forces are missing from our midst. They are called prisoners of war, missing in action. We call them brothers, fathers, uncles, sons, friends. They are unable to be with us, so we remember them each day. This table set for one is a small table, symbolizing the fragility of a prisoner alone against his oppressors. Remember, this table is white to symbolize the purity of their intentions to heed their country's call to action. Remember, the single rose displayed in the vase symbolizes the families, the loved ones who keep the faith, awaiting their return. Remember, the yellow ribbon on the vase and worn upon the lapel and breast of thousands who bear witness to their determination demands a proper accounting of our missing. Remember, the candle is reminiscent of the light of hope which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors to the open arms of a grateful nation. Remember, a slice of lemon is on the plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember, the salt is upon the bread plate to symbolize the family's tears as they wait and wait and wait. Remember, the glass is inverted. They cannot toast us this day. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember all of you who have served with them, who call them comrades, who depended upon their might and their aid. For surely they remember you. Remember, Colorado missing in action. World War II, 797. Korean War, 65. Cold War, 3. Vietnam War, 24. Almighty God, we praise thee, we glorify thee, and we thank thee for sparing us from the grasp of our enemies. Grant us full understandings of the suffering being endured by our comrades who are being held as prisoners of war or are still missing. We ask thy blessings upon them, that whatever comforts they are denied, whatever evil they must endure, may rebound to their everlasting happiness. Especially do we seek thy support for their loved ones. May thy grace be with them always, giving them the strength to do their daily tasks and the courage to meet the problems of life. We pray for those missing comrades who have been called to thy bosom, that whatever justice they have been denied in this life has been granted them 100-fold. Amen.
Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, we have many people participating here tonight that are deserving of special recognition. Our keynote speaker this evening is the former commander of Joint Special Operations Command, Admiral Willam H. McRaven, U.S. Navy, retired. We have many other distinguished guests, and I would like to introduce a few who are graciously spending the evening with us. Former astronaut Major General Joe Engel, United States Air Force, retired. Certified Platinum Recording Artist, Joan Jett. Matthew M. Fritz Mihelcic, National Senior Vice Commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. John Holland, past National VFW Chaplain. Robert Kidd Sr., Commander, Department of Colorado, Veterans of Foreign Wars. D. Chappell Haley, President, VFW Department of Colorado Auxiliary. Our hosts tonight, John Keene, Commander, VFW Post 1, and Marcia Harrison, President of the Auxiliary to VFW Post 1, and of course, the outstanding VFW Band of Colorado. We would also like to recognize all current and past commanders and officers of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. If you are online, please say hello in the chat. For over 100 years, there was one time during our evening festivities when the Brown Palace receives complaints for noise that we make. Unfortunately, this year won't be one of them. However, as your service song is played, please join us in singing with your fellow service members. Mr. Conductor, music please. I would now like to introduce National Senior Vice Commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Fritz Mihelcic.
Thank you for that kind introduction. Commander Keen, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you and everyone else to celebrate this Founders Day banquet. I'd also like you to remember that it's not just you who made this possible. It's all the past commanders of Post 1 throughout the years who have brought you to where you are today. And I'd also like to give a special thank you to Father John Holland, the past National Chaplain who served with me many years ago on the National Council when I was the Judge Advocate General. We have a special bond, and he has always talked so highly of Post 1. Speaking of Post 1, you know there are several Founders Days that we celebrate in the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I was recently in Ohio celebrating Founders Day there where James Romanus and a group of his friends came together in 1899 to found their society, being veterans of the Spanish-American War. Shortly after, of course, this happened in Denver. A few years later, we had the opportunity to combine these two groups. Let's not forget that both groups came together for several things: to remember their service, to remember their comrades, and to ensure that all veterans received health care and compensation for their time during the war. But we did come together, and it's a grateful thing that we all became the veterans of foreign wars of the United States. Denver was lucky enough to be called Post 1, and that's why we're here today talking about Post 1 and the Founders Day banquet. I want you to remember also that just because it happened a long time ago doesn't mean that we're stagnant. Of course, the VFW and Post 1 are continuing the mission of veteran service and legislation to ensure veterans' benefits continue. However, Post 1 has gone above and beyond throughout the years. They've been the champions of diversity. They've been the champions of getting rid of the old image of the VFW. Gone are the days of the smoky old bar. Post 1 is a thriving part of their community. They are bringing in the arts, yoga, meditation, things that newer veterans find important in their lives. They have indeed changed with the times, but they haven't forgotten why we're here. I'm very proud to be part of that, and I know Post 1 is very proud to be the leader in the innovation of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. You certainly are a post to be emulated, and as I go about in my travels throughout the country, I always let people know that Post 1 is on the leading edge of bringing a vision for the future. And that's what our Commander-in-Chief is all about, a 2020 vision for the future. We have to adapt, we have to change with times, and I'm very proud to say that your post number 1, is a leader in changing those times. I know my remarks are brief, and I know you have many great speakers that are going to follow me. But what I would like to say sincerely and from my heart, thank you, Post 1, for leading the VFW through all these years and for many more years to come. Thank you.
Senior Vice Commander Mihelcic, on behalf of VFW Post 1, I would like to thank you and the national VFW organizations for your continued strong support of our post and our functions. Please welcome Post 1 Senior Vice Commander Jim Stevens and the recipient of the Kelsey Comerick VAC Citizen of the Arts Award.
Hi, I'm Jim Stevens. I'm the Senior Vice Commander at VFW Post Number 1, and I'm also the Director of the Veterans Arts Council. The Veterans Arts Council was founded by VFW Post 1 in 2014, and it's open to all military veterans. The mission of the Veterans Arts Council is to showcase and mentor veteran artists working in any artistic medium, while also expanding opportunities for artistic expression between veterans and the greater arts community. Engaging veterans with civilian artists, the VAC encourages cooperation and greater shared understanding throughout the creative community. Each year, the Veterans Arts Council celebrates the accomplishments of one individual who has demonstrated a dedicated commitment to the mission and the goals of our organization. We do this with the Kelsey Comerick Veterans Arts Council Citizen in the Arts Award. This year, I am honored to announce the recipient is Darren Schultz. As a founding member of the Veterans Arts Council, Darren has spent the last 6 years as a dedicated board member, a curator for the VFW Post 1 Art Gallery, and in the last year alone, he's volunteered his time and expertise upgrading lighting in our gallery space, grabbing a paintbrush when the walls needed recoating, hanging art for other members at community exhibits, and he even grabbed a crowbar and a hammer when we began demolition for our building and art gallery remodeling effort. When it comes to involvement, Darren has quietly been there for every time that the Veterans Arts Council needed help. He's also been active in developing ideas for future Veterans Arts Council programs that will expand opportunities for all Veterans Arts Council artists, both veterans and civilians. Recently, Darren had a serious bicycle accident, and even though he had one arm in a sling, he still showed up to help hang the works of fellow veteran artists for the new exhibit in the main concourse at the VA Regional Hospital. Darren is a dedicated advocate for the Veterans Arts Council and its many, many artists, both veterans and civilians. I'm honored to present Darren Schultz with the 2020 Kelsey Comrack Veterans Arts Council Citizen in the Arts Award.
Please welcome Post 1 Junior Vice Commander Peter Marr and the Irving Hale Veteran Nonprofit of the Year.
My name is Peter Marr. I am the Junior Vice Commander for VFW Post 1, and tonight it is my absolute pleasure to be able to announce the Irving Hale Veteran Organization of the Year Award. Whenever a member of this service is out in the field, it is no greater joy than knowing that you're going to get a hot meal that day. Knowing that that's coming out definitely alleviates any concerns and removes all the struggle of what we've been going through. Tonight's organization winner is Full Battle Rattle Deli and Michael Grouper. Every time that they pull up, they know that they are helping and serving veterans in our community. Congratulations.
I'm really touched, honestly. Thank you so much for this. I never did this for accolades or anything, but it means a lot to me knowing how much I've supported VFW Post 1 as well as the veteran community with Full Battle Rattle Deli. I really don't know what to say. Thank you so much.
Please welcome past Post 1 Commander John Harry and the VFW Post 1 Citizen of the Year.
So many of you have been to the Founders Banquet, and you know that this year, due to COVID, we aren't able to hold the Founders Day Banquet the way we would normally do it. So this year it will be a virtual Founders Banquet. So I've invited you guys to join me so we can talk about the whiskey tasting fundraisers. 4 years ago, Len reached out to me and asked if he could do something on behalf of the Post. From that, he brought in Dan Harrison and Maggie Glass. And over the last 4 years, we've held 3 whiskey tasting fundraisers, raised over $25,000 for Post 1 towards the renovation of the building. We are completely aware that we at Post 1 cannot do what we do without the support of the community. And the way that we recognize this every year is by awarding a Citizen of the Year. This year, VFW Post 1's Citizen of the Year is all 3 of you: Len Jelesniak, Maggie Glass, and Dan Harrison.
Oh my gosh.
It is with extreme gratitude from myself, from all of the members of the Post, and for all of the members of the auxiliary, that we thank you very much for everything that you've done for the Post over the last couple of years, and tell you how much we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Wow.
That was the big announcement. And really, from the bottom of my heart, and from Curtis, who is the fifth wheel to this project, and now from Michael, who has taken over the reins as we moved away from Denver, we are extremely grateful for all the blood, sweat, and tears, for all the hard work you guys have put into this, and for your talents and skills and resources that you've brought to do great things for the members of Post 1 and our auxiliary. So thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you.
Do you guys have any words?
For once, Len and Dan and Maggie are all out of words. Thank you. Is all I have. Thoroughly unexpected and incredibly. We love the work we do with you guys. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we do with you. And thank you. That's all I got.
My grandma is, I know we shared lots of stories about like why we do this, but as you know, like my grandma was a wounded, decorated combat veteran of World War II. And I think she'd be really proud of this. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to serve you guys.
It has been an absolute joy working with you guys. And I know I speak for Curtis and definitely for myself. We've missed the experience and hope that Michael is taking full advantage of it.
I'm just grateful to be part of this group and just amazed at the work that the VFW does and really proud to get to show off the VFW and just tickled. All my family has served in the military, my dad and my grandparents, and for the United States, and also my grandpa served for the Canadian Foreign Legion. So this is really neat, and I'm really honored. And so thank you.
Thank you. And ordinarily, this would be the moment where you guys would get the big applause in the ballroom. So,
and I just want to say, y'all are fantastic partners. It's really fun, and it's been great to work with you, each of you. I'm looking forward to future events, but also keep in mind that you represent a lot of people that pull these off successfully. It's not just the three of you; it's the people you bring to the table, and they're only there because of each of you. And we really thank you so much.
Salud. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And we'll now turn it back to Dave Gruber, the MC, for the rest of the night.
Please welcome past Post 1 Commander Michael Mitchell for the presentation of the Jack Swigert Award.
Apollo 13 astronaut Jack Swigert was a life member of Post 1 until his passing in 1980 as Congressman-elect. We created the Jack Swigert Aeronautical and Astronautical Award in his name to honor his memory and the achievements of veterans in air and space. This year, we're proud to present Major General Joe Engel with the Swigert Award. Joe was in the same astronaut class with Jack in 1966. As the last living X-15 pilot, he represents 11 other pilots who flew in a combined 199 flights. If you're unfamiliar with the X-15 program, I encourage you to read about it or look at some of the YouTube videos online. It's pretty interesting. The X-15 program was instrumental in the development of our space program, from Mercury, Gemini, Apollo to the space shuttle. Joe flew 16 flights, reaching a top speed of Mach 5.7. Joe loves to fly, and that's why he became a test pilot and an astronaut. When Deke Slayton asked him if he wanted to be on Skylab, Apollo, Soyuz, or the space shuttle mission, Joe picked the shuttle because it was something he could fly like an airplane, and fly it he did. Joe served on STS-2, STS-51-I. Also, Joe has received 2 Distinguished Flying Crosses and a Collier Trophy. It is my pleasure to present the 121st Founders Dinner Jack Swigert Award to Joe Engel. Joe?
Thank you, Michael, for that very kind introduction. I want to thank the John Stewart Post number 1 for this honor. I got to know Jack Swigert after we were both selected for further astronaut training in 1966. Jack was an extremely talented engineer and a great test pilot. I was stationed at Edwards Air Force Base, California, when we got the word that we had been selected. I was very lucky to be there at that time at Edwards. Got to fly over 200 different kinds of airplanes, high-performance airplanes, and set numerous altitude and speed records. I'm often asked which airplane was my favorite to fly, and it's always easy for me. The X-15 was by far and away my favorite airplane. The reason was it did not have a highly sophisticated flight control system in it with auto-damping and autopilots and auto-guidance. It was just a pure stick and rudder airplane with a tremendous performance envelope. But it did demand your full and constant attention all the time you had the engine lit. I remember that attention demand was so intense that I would come back from a flight of the X-15 totally drenched in sweat just from being so intently concentrated on controlling the airplane correctly. The airplane had a cooling system in it. It was a nitrogen cooling system. And the suit that we wore had a cooling system in it as well, as did the cockpit. So I got to, in order to counteract the sweat that would build up, before we launched, I would crank up the air conditioning in the airplane and in the suit full blast till I was just relatively shivering in the cockpit. But it didn't stop the sweating. Once I launched, and 10 minutes later, I realized I was drenched in sweat again. That airplane just demanded attention, just like a young pup. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Edward's experience highlighted and topped by the X-15 airplane, which we eventually flew into space, and even more importantly, flew back from space, re-entered the atmosphere, and landed like a conventional airplane. Again, thanks very much for the opportunity to talk with you all today. I hope someday to be able to come back and meet you all personally, get to know each other better. Thank you.
Please welcome past Post 1 Senior Vice Commander Brittany Barges for the presentation of the Post 1 National Citizen of the Year Award.
Joan Jett is a role model for any girl who dared to break away from traditional expectations of womanhood. She's loud, bold, and doesn't give a damn about her reputation. Women like Joan showed the world that we could be anything we want to be, do anything we want to do, even join the military. So when my father told me the Army's no place for a woman, I just thought to myself, I'll decide my place in this world, like Joan. But that's not why we're honoring her tonight. Joan Jett has been supporting our brothers and sisters in arms since the 1980s. It started out unofficially. She would drop into military bases after a concert. Then she teamed up with the USO, the Armed Forces Entertainment, and Armed Forces Radio Network. Her first official tour was on the USS Intrepid in 1994. Since then, she's been to over 64 countries. She went to Kuwait, Guam, Iraq, Afghanistan, Germany, and she even visited Checkpoint Charlie during the Cold War. Thank you, Joan, for your decades of support. I'm honored to present you with our Citizens of the Year Award.
Good to be here tonight. Sorry I couldn't be with you in person. I've been very lucky to have been able to give back and serve by going to greet and sometimes play for troops at installations all around the world. Kenny and I have had the privilege to be invited downrange many times where we've been able to witness the precision with which our military carry out the most intricate and critical missions. We've also toured home bases where we've seen firsthand the sacrifices of our military families. I carry in my heart every day the knowledge that those who serve are such a small percentage of us. At the same time, you are a giant part of what allows us to be who we are. Thank you for this recognition. I'd like to introduce my partner, Kenny Laguna, who goes on these trips to play for you guys with me. This is Kenny Laguna, who is going to
present the National Citizen of the Year Award from the very first post
Hold up a little hard.
of the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Thank you.
Citizen of the Year.
That's me, Citizen of the Year. Thank you very much.
So, when we go around, for instance, when we were the first non-combatants to go into the Operation Enduring Freedom into Afghanistan, we first landed in Uzbekistan. And I remember woke up 5 a.m.
At least.
I remember it was like 25 different little sections. We went in and saw the Black Diamonds.
The CBs.
And the Marines had their little section. There was the Canadian Special Ops. What else can you remember?
No, I know that when I would go, certainly to, it could be stateside too, but I remember specifically in Uzbekistan at the bases, I'd walk around to each, I guess, unit. You know, each section did their own little thing, and everybody took such pride in what they did and would explain to me exactly what they did, how it fit into the rest of what everyone else did. And it was just, you know, a great learning experience for me. I'd also like to say hello and acknowledge our keynote speaker tonight, Admiral McRaven. Also, Major General Joe Engel will receive the Jack Swigert Award. I'd also like to say hello to Michael Mitchell and a big thank you to Mitchell Utterbeck.
Mitchell was with us in Kandahar way back in 2002 or 2001.
2002.
We didn't actually interact, but I know, Mitchell, that the CO was blocking us from the special ops. There was some kind of beef going on. Anyway, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you soon.
Please welcome Post 1 Quartermaster Jesse Eastburn and the Corporate Partner of the Year.
I am Jesse Eastburn, VFW Post 1 Quartermaster, and I am here to announce the Corporate Sponsor of the Year. The company came to us in 2019 when I reached out to a high school friend and asked, would y'all be interested in helping us out with First Friday Art Walk nights? Without hesitation, he said, oh, hell yeah! And even through a pandemic, facing their own economic uncertainty, continues to reach out and have asked to be a part how they can help. They are even helping us currently with this virtual event. For their continued friendship to our post and helping us continue the mission of serving our veteran community, I am proud to announce YOLO Rum as our corporate sponsor of the year. Phil, come up here.
Thank you very much.
We totally
I appreciate this.
Yeah, we totally surprised you.
Yes, I thought I was bringing rum down.
Yeah, you were.
Well, thank you guys for honoring us like this. We're personally vested in what you guys have going on here ever since Wiggins introduced me and pulled me into the mix. I've really taken this on very personally, and this is just a huge honor for me. I think it's just an honor to come down and spend First Fridays with everybody. It's an honor that this is VFW post number 1 and that it's right here in Denver, Colorado, my hometown. And I love this town very much, and I've grown to really, really affectionate of the Post and the work that you guys do here on the Post and for everybody here in town. And it's just an extreme honor to be honored by you guys, service members. When you talk about service, and these days people really don't understand what service even is, and a lot of times people forget service. The people that are making the ultimate sacrifices and service for all of us here in this country so that we can be the amazing nation that we are military members and their families and everything that they have to endure. I have military members of my family and moving and all the sacrifices that have to be made to make it all come together. And the amount of discipline is just amazing too. So you embody service, and I am just humbled and honored to accept this award. So thank you, and we are proud to be your sponsor, and I was not expecting this, so it's a great surprise. Thank you guys for that, and I wasn't expecting to speak either, so I don't really have a whole lot prepared, but thank you guys. I really do appreciate it, and it's an amazing honor.
I would now like to welcome our past Post 1 Senior Vice Commander, past District 1 Senior Vice Commander, and last year's Ray Starkey Member of the Year recipient, Petra Wolford.
My name is Todd Cooper. I guess I officially joined the post probably about the time that I started working on the project. So probably about 2015. So going on 6 years ago at this point. I think the connection was made between myself and Michael Mitchell and another one of my friends who was a helicopter pilot, and I knew his brother in 19th Special Forces Group. So that kind of made the connection to the post. And the rumor on the street was they were looking for an architect to help with their remodel. So being an architect at Lewis Himes in town here, I think naturally fell into that position, and then at some point just decided to join the post after I kind of found out what they were about and the work that they did. So it's been a process. I guess it always is when you're working with a building that's over 100 years old and you're reliant on a lot of volunteer work and donations, and so there's been a lot of people putting a lot of effort into making this happen. So it's been a 5-year process at this point. So, but good thing is it looks like we're going to get our project started here in the next month or so. So beginning the new year with a new project, and hopefully that'll turn into a new building and some more, phases in the future to keep our overall picture alive, I guess, for the next couple of years until we get the whole building completed the way we are hoping it will be completed. So,
well, I'll be honest with you, Todd. We're pulling a little bit of a fast one on you. So normally, this part of the program, we would have last year's Member of the Year, Petra Wolford, give a nice introduction of you and your background and your contributions, and I'd like to announce that you are the 2020 or the 121st Annual Founders Member of the Year.
Oh, that is a surprise. Well, thank you, everyone. I guess I don't know how it works on voting the person in or however it works, but it's greatly appreciated on my end. So
there will be a plaque forthcoming, and to tell you how the Member of the Year is usually selected, I would say the member kind of selects themselves. Whenever we come to this point of the year, when we try to determine who's been the Member of the Year, there's usually always a clear standout. And I think the fact that we're actually about to break ground on what you said as a 5 or almost 6 year long project, we wouldn't be at this point if it wasn't for your contributions, not only the professional side, but like you said, the getting in there and getting your hands dirty, everything you've done so far for the post. I'm glad that 5 years ago, we didn't scare you away with this project and you stuck with it throughout the whole thing. And now we're hopefully be able to see some of the fruits of your labor. So thank you very much.
I like a good challenge.
Well, this is only phase 1. So
I know
phases to come along, and we hope to have you along for the entire ride.
Oh, I'll be there. We're not done yet. So okay. I want to see this thing through to completion. So
we all do. All right. Well, I told you this was going to be short and sweet. Anything else you'd like to say?
Thank you, everyone. Let's get it done.
All right. Have a good night. Back to you, Dave.
We have now reached another highlight of the evening, our keynote speaker. All members of the Veterans of Foreign Wars have served in combat zones. We have all been part of the spear of military might serving to defend our nation. We are honored tonight to have a person who served at the point of the spear, one of those who led the spear itself. Admiral Willam McRaven had a distinguished career as a Navy SEAL, culminating as a commander of the Joint Special Operations Command. He served in Operation Desert Shield, Operation Desert Storm, Operation Enduring Freedom, the war in Afghanistan, the Iraqi War, Operation Neptune Spear, which took out Osama bin Laden, and hundreds of other operations that will remain classified and unpublished. He is the author of Sea Stories and several other best-selling books, and he served as the Chancellor of the University of Texas System. Ladies and gentlemen, Post 1 of the Veterans of Foreign Wars is honored to welcome Admiral Willam McRaven.
Well, thank you very much for that kind introduction. Let me start by congratulating General Joe Engel for receiving the Jack Swigert Award. Frankly, I can't think of anyone more deserving. Joe's courage, his commitment, his sacrifice are unparalleled, and it's an honor to share the virtual stage with him. I also want to thank Post 1 for the invitation to speak at the Founders Dinner. I'm sorry we can't do it in person, but I'm pleased to have a chance to say a few words at this year's event. In the field of mathematics, there's a concept called chaos theory. Chaos theory attempts to explain the nature of complex systems, weather patterns, the stock market, traffic jams, and pandemics. But chaos theory also allows us to better understand every aspect of human existence, from biology to physics, from computer science to philosophy. At the center of chaos theory is the belief that very minute changes can result in very large changes in the later stage of a complex system. This hypothesis is called the butterfly effect, metaphorically implying that a butterfly flapping its wings in Texas can cause a hurricane in Thailand. What scientists have come to recognize and prove is that the little things in life can have a dramatic effect on the world. In 1993, I was on leave in San Antonio visiting my father. My father was a World War II fighter pilot and a career Air Force officer, and he was a very outgoing, gregarious fellow and never missed an opportunity to make new friends. That day, he had gone to the barbershop and struck up a conversation with the guy in the chair next to him. The fellow in the adjoining chair seemed to be equally outgoing, and in the course of the conversation, mentioned that his son, a high school senior, was looking to join the Navy. My father quickly piled on and told the man that, in fact, I was in the Navy. The fellow continued and proudly proclaimed that his son was looking to be a Navy SEAL. My father leaned back in the chair and announced that I was a Navy SEAL. Soon the two men had exchanged telephone numbers, and when my dad got home, he asked if I could call this young high school senior and give him some advice on becoming a Navy SEAL. That evening, I picked up the phone and talked to the young man for about 45 minutes. I explained to him the rigors of SEAL training, the difference between the officer path and the enlisted path, and eventually, I wished him well. Soon afterwards, though, I quickly forgot about the phone call, and that weekend, I returned to San Diego and got back to work. 17 years later, in 2010, I was a 3-star Admiral, commanding our most elite special operations forces in Afghanistan. An American contractor had been kidnapped by the Taliban and taken to a remote cave complex high in the Tora Bora region of Afghanistan. The Navy SEALs working for me had found the location of the cave complex and mounted an operation to rescue the American contractor. The mission was incredibly daring. The SEALs scaled the backside of the mountain and then descended quickly, surprising the Taliban. In dramatic fashion, the SEAL leading the rescue was able to kill 2 of the hostage takers and rescue the Americans seconds before one of the Taliban was preparing to kill him. The next day, the commander of the SEAL team brought the leader of the rescue mission by to meet me. Standing in my office, the commanding officer introduced me to the SEAL Senior Chief Petty Officer. I congratulated him on the rescue and thanked him for his remarkable courage. But as I was talking, I noticed that both men had a funny look on their face. They were grinning like 2 kids who knew something their parents didn't. Finally, the commanding officer said, "Sir, you and Senior Chief Jones have met before." I apologized for not remembering the meeting. The senior chief smiled and said quickly, "Well, sir, we didn't actually meet. We just talked, and it was 17 years ago. You called me at home and talked to me for a long time, and your talk inspired me to join the Navy SEALs." As it turned out, of course, Senior Chief Jones was a young high school boy from decades earlier. The senior chief, as it turns out, was highly decorated. His heroism over the years in combat had saved many lives, and he attributed it all to a single phone call. That is the butterfly effect. I saw the butterfly effect every day in combat. The actions or decisions of one officer or one NCO that changed the lives of dozens of men and women, and in doing so, changed the lives of their children and their children's children and their children's children, entire generations of families alive and contributing because of one action, one decision that changed the destiny of so many. So what does that have to do with today? Well, the world today is as troubled as I have ever seen it in my 65 years. And while we are not in the midst of a great war or an economic collapse or a black plague, I believe we are in the midst of something maybe a little worse, a slow, methodical collapse of our faith in mankind. Statistics show that most people believe that our leaders are failing us, that our institutions are failing us, that we can't rely on our friends or neighbors, and that the world is spinning slowly out of control and we seem helpless to stop it. People today are deeply pessimistic about our future. However, in spite of all the nation's pessimism about our leaders and our institutions, you, the veterans of this great country, remain a bright spot in the nation's optimism. You give the nation hope. They know that if you served, you are honorable men and women. That if you served, you are duty-bound to the Constitution and all that it encompasses. If you served, you will work hard, be a great teammate, help those around you. If you served, you epitomize all that is good and decent and honorable about this great country. As the nation knows that if you put your mind to it, you, the veterans, can help solve these complex problems that we face today. I believe these people to be right. You can solve these problems. You can solve them one veteran at a time. It is the butterfly effect. If you lift up one homeless person, coach one youth soccer team, make dinner for one church function, donate to one charity, if you thank one policeman, one firefighter, one first responder, if you volunteer in one soup kitchen, if you call one friend who is struggling with their life, one family member who thinks differently than you, if you just take one small step and show others that you care, you have no idea how it might change the world. Today, there are 18 million veterans in the United States. Just imagine if each veteran only changed the lives of 10 people. In one generation, over 180 million lives would be improved. If those 180 million helped another 10 people, then in 2 generations, almost 2 billion lives would have been changed. And by the 3rd generation, the world itself would have been changed forever. One final story. In 1839, a young man named Fred Dent headed off to West Point, New York, where he had received an appointment to the U.S. Military Academy. While at the academy, he roomed with another cadet who lacked Dent's drive, his academic prowess, or his athletic ability. But the 2 men became fast friends. As the years went on, Dent's roommate struggled with grades, was habitually late for class, and collected more than his fair share of demerits for tardiness, slovenly dress, and lack of military bearing. And to make matters worse, Dent's roommate was quite low in the class standings and knew that he would never get a coveted cavalry position. His motivation continued to decline. However, at the constant encouragement of Fred Dent, the young cadet managed to graduate and was assigned to the infantry. However, a career in the Army didn't seem to be part of his plan. Then soon after graduation, Fred Dent introduced his roommate to Dent's sister, Julia. The roommate and Julia fell in love and were married a few years later. And over the course of the next 30 years, Julia Dent Grant never left her husband's side. She stayed with him through his struggles with alcohol. She stayed with him through his depression. She stayed with him through his losses in battle, and she stayed with him through his hard 8 years as President of the United States. But without Fred Dent's compassion and friendship, it is unlikely that that West Point cadet, Ulysses S. Grant, would have risen to prominence. And without Grant, it is conceivable the Union would have lost the war. And if the Union had lost the war, it is more than likely there would be no United States of America today. All of this because of the actions of one man, Fred Dent. And who today remembers Fred Dent? The fact of the matter is, we don't need artificial intelligence, machine learning, trillions of dollars, and millions of PhDs to change the world. We just need a few good men and women who carry the values we learned in the military, the values of hard work, perseverance, honesty, integrity, compassion, and humility. We need veterans who pass those values on to the next generation. We need you to shape the future of the nation through your good works, compassion, and engagement with the citizens of America. We need you to do what you have done since you first wore the uniform. Be Americans at their very best. This approach to service has always been the hallmark of the VFW, and no one has done it better than Post 1. I thank you again for the opportunity to speak to you today and for this magnificent plaque that I will proudly display in the library behind me.
And I would also like to thank you for recognizing my service to the nation and for allowing me to join VFW Post 1. Bill and I are excited to be new members. God bless you all.
Thank you all very, very much.
Admiral McRaven, thank you very much for your remarks, and we appreciate you being with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like you to welcome our commander, John Keane.
Thank you, Colonel, for the introduction. And thank you, everyone at home, for attending the first ever virtual Founders. And congratulations to all of our award winners. If you've made it this far, we must be doing something right. I hope everyone watching from home is healthy and safe. And if you haven't already done so, please visit the link in the comments section to donate tonight to the Post 1 Relief Fund. I want to thank Admiral McRaven for an outstanding keynote presentation. I can only hope that we get half as many views as your 2014 commencement address at the University of Texas. I'd also like to tell a story of my own. Back in 1899, another West Point graduate, upon returning home from war, decided the federal government wasn't treating veterans very well, and he decided to do something about it. That gentleman was Irving Hale, and it is he and his colleagues that we celebrate this evening as the founders of our great organization. What grew from the actions of these 32 men has turned into the largest combat veterans organization in the world, with over 1.5 million veterans and auxiliary members. Now, 121 years later, you and Georgianne are part of this family. Talk about a butterfly effect. Fritz, thank you for your message of support, and I hope maybe next year you can join us as the Commander-in-Chief. Major General Engel, I never get tired of hearing from astronauts. You are a pioneer and an inspiration to us all. Congratulations again on your award. And thank you, Joan, Jett, for your decades-long support for the troops. I grew up in the 80s listening to your music, so it was a real pleasure to hear from you tonight. I want to also extend a special thank you to Jared Wigand, our excellent videographer from Back to the Digital, for donating his time and expertise to pull this whole thing off. Just like everyone else, VFW Post 1 has had to adapt to how we operate under COVID restrictions, and tonight is no exception. However, veterans are quick to make adjustments. So for this year's address, I'm going to leverage being virtual and actually show you the state of the post. Come with me. Here we have our art gallery, but as you can see, we've had to take all the art down off the wall so that we could get ready for our renovations. In addition, we've had to take all of the supplies from our back and move it up here as a storage area. We have our old kitchen supplies, we have our furniture for our meetings, and then we just have a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff that's going to be part of the renovations. Now let me show you what's going to happen in the back. So this is where the renovations are actually going to take place. This wall here is going to be where we're going to have our brand new ADA compliant men's room and women's room. We're also going to get new service from Excel, and we're going to have all new plumbing so that we are compliant with current code. We're also going to get an HVAC unit that hopefully is going to move enough air around the building so we don't have those sweltering first Fridays during the summer. In that far corner, we're going to have a warming kitchen for events, but the rest of the space is pretty much going to remain open for gathering with post members and smaller groups. Coming back into the main gallery, we're going to relocate our saloon back to its original location. You can see here
we have some of the doors that are going to be part of the new renovation. These doors were donated. And then as we move back towards the front, you'll see we have, again, more donated supplies, baseboard, we have lighting, other parts of our saloon, and the great 48 star American flag. I hope you enjoyed that little tour, but as you know, a VFW post is more than just a building. A perfect example of this is the artwork currently on display at the Rocky Mountain Regional VA Medical Center or out at Regis University. By building such strong relationships in the community, the VAC is still able to provide opportunities for our artists even though the post is closed. We've also been able to continue with our national programs like the Voice of Democracy and Patriot Pen essay contests. I believe this year we had one of our biggest turnouts ever, with kids dropping their essays in our mail slot or sending them to us by email. And just like tonight, I look forward to holding a virtual awards ceremony next month and hearing the winners read their essays over Zoom. Not even the pandemic can slow Post 1 down as we head towards an all-American Post 3-peat. I'd also like to give a shout out to our auxiliary members. They're always instrumental in our success, especially when it comes to the essays. Additionally, this year, the auxiliary introduced us to the Colorado National Guard's 193rd MP Battalion, who were out on the front lines when COVID struck, manning test sites, working with state and local governments to flatten the curve, and constructing medical shelters. By adopting this unit, we continue the tradition of supporting our military. It also allowed us to secure a $1,000 grant from National to support the appreciation event the Soldier and Family Readiness Group is holding for them during their drill this weekend. Thanks again, Big Aux, for all you do, and I look forward to an even better 2021. Now, as you heard earlier, our Member of the Year, Todd Cooper, has been instrumental in the renovation process. He not only donated countless hours as our architect, but he put in plenty of man hours doing the hands-on work. He put the money that was raised from one of the whiskey tasting events towards refinishing the floors in the main gallery. When another WTF event raised money for our sprinkler system, Todd met numerous times with the contractor and oversaw those updates. From meeting with tradesmen to secure bids, to never-ending demo parties, Todd's been there leading us and saving us a ton of money every step of the way. But equally as important has been the contributions of another member, without whom we wouldn't be able to pay for the rest of the project. Back in October of 2014, with the help of this member, Post 1 established a 501c3 foundation, which embarked on an ambitious capital campaign to raise money for the renovations. Finally, last December, the foundation hit its goal, and we established a timeline to break ground. In fact, I even made that announcement at last year's Founders. Then COVID struck. Like many things, the renovations were put on hold. Several months passed, and just as we started to regroup, to get the project back on track, we learned that the costs had gone up close to $50,000. Undeterred, this member went back out and he hit the streets with a passion, looking for additional donations. Not only did he find another $50,000, but he nearly doubled that goal. I want to point out that every dollar raised by the foundation is a dollar the Post gets to keep and use towards our programs. Likewise, these renovations will allow us to grow existing and establish new programs. In my mind, that only amplifies this member's contributions. Without further ado, I'm proud to give this year's Commander's Award to the Executive Director of the Post 1 Foundation, a past Post 1 Commander, and my friend, Michael Mitchell. Michael, I wish I could have presented this to you in person, but I promise I'll drop it in the milk box at your house tomorrow. Thank you all, and I hope to see you again next year. Happy holidays and good night.
Thank you, John, for all you have done and continue to do for Post 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the most solemn point of the evening. If we could have a moment of silence for our active duty and our veteran comrades and your loved ones we have lost this year. Every year, we remember our Post 1 founders. I would like to introduce our comrades Izzy Abbas and Kristen Luevanos, who will conduct a roll call for our original members.
On Friday, December 1st, 1899, a group of Colorado veterans from the Spanish-American War met in the basement of our capital here in Denver. These visionaries laid the groundwork for what would become the largest combat veterans organization in the United States, as well as starting VFW Post No. 1, the John S. Stewart Post. Today, 121 years later, we pay homage to these visionary leaders as well as all the men and women who have built our great organization.
Irving Hale.
Harry Arnez. Harry B. Bird.
Charles E. Hooper.
Harry B. Kerr.
F. W. Paget.
George M. Lachelle.
Charles E. Locke.
Rice W. Means.
Herman Stein.
C. A. Newberry.
J. O. Adams.
A. L. Bing.
William Coward.
A. Hendricks.
Harry Osborne.
Charles B. Pierce.
Charles B. Lewis.
Sam R. Lundy.
Honor H. L. Mywers.
W. S. Watson.
C.G. Springer.
C.H. Anderson.
C. E. Burkhart.
Gus E. Hartung.
R.H. Ingersoll.
George M. Post.
Robert F. Reed.
Ben M. Lloyd.
Holden Lee.
F. Stapleton Sr.
Fred T. McGuire.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you have had a great time this evening. I want to again thank our keynote speaker, Admiral McRaven, and our special guests, Engel and Joan Jett, for being with us tonight. I also want to congratulate all of you who have achieved our highest awards this evening. I would be remiss if I did not thank the Post members who put this together, and Jared Wiggin of Back to Digital, who worked behind the scenes in bringing all the pieces together and keeping the program on track. We hope to see you in person next year, and we wish you a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, and a blessed holiday season. Thank you and good night.
The mission of the Veterans Arts Council is to promote, showcase, mentor, and support veteran artists and expand opportunities for veteran artists in the creative arts community. The importance of what we do in the community is not only impacting the opportunities for our veterans, but also it always seems to come back to the emotional health of our veterans. There are many veterans arts programs out there for art therapy. We're that next step. We actually take the work that these artists have done and display it for them and promote opportunities in the wider creative arts community.
With the Veterans Arts Council, we've been changing the way that people look at the VFW in general. A lot of civilian artists don't realize that we are open to have civilians here. They see veterans of foreign wars on the front and they think, oh, that place isn't for me. But we've made it a point to make it a place for them.
With the VAC, 80% of the artists are veterans and 20% are civilians like me. So I was introduced to the gallery and I show here on a kind of regular basis. I think it's essential to the broader arts community as I find myself showing here month to month and making new friendships within the veterans community. I hear incredible stories of people with a lot of courage. I've befriended people that I know have really serious challenges, largely because of their experiences in the military. And so I think that it's important to the veterans because it helps communicate to the broader community really who they are. And I think for the civilians like us who, whether we appreciate the veterans like I do, or maybe have no opinion whatsoever about the military or about veterans themselves, it's a learning experience. to understand the real stories behind the combat veterans and the fact that they are just a lot of really gifted artists.
If people like our arts program here and what we do for veterans, we always welcome volunteers. I can't say enough for the work that our volunteers do, but we always need more. And as a nonprofit, of course, we always need patrons. We always need those people who are willing to help us out with a financial support.